Investors in pet e-commerce titan Chewy are whimpering at this hour. Despite reporting a 24% jump in quarterly revenue, shares are in the doghouse right now, down about 9.5%. Here's the problem. While the company matched Wall Street's revenue expectations, it did post a wider than expected loss of 8 cents per share. The expectation was for a loss of 4 cents a share. Now, if you're assuming Americans are suddenly deciding they don't care about their pets anymore, you would be wrong on that. Take a look at North America's fastest growing doggy daycare brand, Dogtopia, seeing the bright side of the pandemic puppy boom. With more than 170 locations in the U.S. and Canada, the doggy daycare saw more than 1 million visits in 2020 alone. So let's bring in Dogtopia President and CEO Neil Gill. Neil, great to have you. Look, if 2020 was so strong for you guys during the lockdowns, what has Dogtopia's demand been like now that people are returning to work and I suspect would need pet daycare more?
So, Liz, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. So very privileged to be here. So thank you. It's been a crazy year for Dogtopia, Liz. It really has. So we came out of COVID stronger than we went into it. And there's been a combination of things driving it. So you've got this really, robust tailwind that, with 6 to 11 million new dogs in the market, and it's hard to exactly know how many, but it's somewhere around 6 to 11 million. So that's a lot of new dogs. And then what's happened is you've got a lot of new families that have taken puppies into their lives. And if you've ever had a puppy, it needs a lot of work. And, we talk about the fact that it takes a village to raise a puppy, and Dogtopia is part of that village. And so we've also seen this shift, Liz, of where people say to me, oh, I bet you can't wait for people to go back to the office. What we're seeing is that people are spending more time at home with their dogs, and they're realizing just how much attention and how much exercise their dog needs. And so, we know a Dogtopia dog in daycare does about 30,000 steps a day. So I can tell you, Liz, I'd love to do 30,000 steps a day to keep my fitness up.
I know. I'm right there with you. I find the business really interesting. You've got playrooms with webcams. You have, supervised play, which is, as you mentioned, important because we are seeing dog obesity. These dogs definitely need exercise, and it's cruel not to let them get out and run. Each new dog gets a report card at the end of its stay. What else do you guys offer, and what do you find is really resonating with average dog owners?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've done a lot of research around it. In fact, just this year, we've done a lot of research just around the actual pet parent type and who uses us and what for. And one of our key differentiators, Liz, is that we're a daycare proposition. Like, our absolute focus is that we provide the highest level of care when it comes to daycare. No other brand focuses like we do on the quality of care from a daycare point of view. So we're not a boarding facility. We'll do some overnight stay, particularly for the daycare dogs. But our absolute key focus is our canine coaches are some of the best trained. They're trained by two of the largest dog training schools in the US. And so our canine coaches are all certified. And they focus on 3 things in the playroom. So one is socialization. So we guarantee your dog will meet its BFFF while they're in Dogtopia daycare. So that's their best furry friend forever. So we've trademarked that because we believe so much in it, and we have a lot of fun around that. Okay. We also make sure the dog gets exercise, because you just touched on it, Liz. 60% of dogs in the US are obese. And I've spoken to a cardiologist.
I want to jump in here because another business aspect of this is that you guys have been a very hot franchisee. You're ranked very high on the list of 500 most popular franchises, and people are interested in, we see, quitting their jobs and having control over their own destiny. The costs here, how do you rank and how do you keep the costs at least doable for somebody who would really like to start a doggy daycare? And these are sprouting up everywhere. I mean, there's 6 in Houston alone. You've got a lot in Virginia, a bunch in Northern California. But the cost here, and we can put up some of the prices for doggy daycare, is, I believe, $49,500 for the initial franchise fee. You need $300,000 minimum liquid capital and a minimum net worth of $1 million.
That's correct, Liz. So, and let's touch on some of that. So, Here's what I'm excited about this industry. So you've got franchising, which provides this really wonderful entrepreneurial model of allowing entrepreneurs with their own ideas to run a business with the support and guardrails of a franchise system. And what we've spent a lot of time around is really understanding how do we minimize that capex, that initial investment up front, and then how do we support the franchisees from before they're open, so they're actually they have dogs in the door from the very first day that they open, and then they ramp in that first year really rapidly, so that we're driving very strong single unit economics from the get-go. And so, and you put together that wonderful entrepreneurial spirit, add that to the support of a franchise system. I mean, Liz, I've been franchising since I was 15 years old, and so it's in my blood. And I love it. I love that combination of entrepreneurism meets systems, tools, and processes. And then you mix that in with a pet sector, the strongest sector in the country today. And it's this recipe for just exciting success. Like it really is quite incredible.
Gotcha. Neil, franchising since you were a teenager, we're going to profile you on my Everyone Talks to Liz podcast, because we talk about great success stories, and I love that. Neil Gill of Dogtopia, good luck to you, and thank you so much for all you do. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks for having me on the show.